So first of all, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. And this webinar is titled Small Scale Biomass Application for Clean Cooking, and is co-organized by the World Bioenergy Association and the Global Bioenergy Partnership. It is part of both the 2025 World Bioenergy Association webinar series and the 2025 Global Bioenergy Partnership webinar series. And both of these series aims to raise awareness and share good practices on a wide range of bioenergy pathways, including gasification, biogas, sustainable liquid biofuels, used for various purposes, for instance, for transport or for clean cooking, to accelerate the achievement of climate and sustainable development goals. Today, we will talk about clean cooking, and our aim is to raise awareness on the multiple benefits that clean cooking could bring to end users, with a focus on health and nutrition benefits. And we will also share knowledge on innovative solutions that can accelerate the clean cooking transition in developing countries. In particular, we will focus on pellet combustion in an advanced burner as an example of the wide range of bio-based, non-fossil clean cooking system. So the number of participants is going up, and this now we have just almost 130 participants. Let me first do a step back. But what is a clean cooking system? According to the World Health Organization, clean cooking refers to the technology and fuel combination that we can call clean cooking system that meet the recommendation of WHO guidelines for indoor air quality. In other words, the results that result in minimum emissions of both greenhouse gas emission and indoor air pollutants like particulate matter and carbon monoxide, for instance. For those of you who are joining our webinar series for the first time, bioenergy is one of the three pillars of FAO Energy Smart Agri-Food System program, together with renewable energy for the agri-food system and energy efficiency in the agri-food system. Clean cooking is part of the agri-food system, as it is a part of the food system and is required for the preparation of many types of raw food, and it's important to ensure food safety. The agenda of this webinar includes today two presentations, 15-20 minutes each, and will be followed by a Q&A session. I would encourage all participants to write your question in the chat box. Mrs. Alejandra Leon, who is here with me from the World Bioenergy Association, will help me in monitoring the Q&A box. And I also want to inform all of you that this webinar will be recorded, and the video recording and the presentation will be available on WBA website after the webinar is done. All the participants will receive an email once all the material is available. So without any further delay, let us start. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Mrs. Patrizia Fracassi, Senior Nutrition and Food System Officer at FAO, Food and Nutrition Division, ESN. Mrs. Fracassi will present on clean cooking, an enabler of better nutrition. Patrizia, can you share your screen? Okay, thank you, Patrizia. The floor is yours. If you can just put in the presentation mode.
Yes?
It's coming now. The floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let me start by thanking you, Tiziana, for the opportunity to collaborate with the GBEP, and also to thank Linda Migliorati for all the background work in collecting the evidence from the literature and from the case study. Today, I will talk about how clean cooking system and access to energy can impact food security and nutrition. And I hope that by the end of the talk, we can discuss how to integrate this knowledge into impactful clean cooking projects. We often discuss energy challenges and the nutrition crisis separately. So we know that 2.1 billion people depend on open fire cooking methods, and that in sub-Saharan Africa, over 80% of the population lacks modern energy access. We also know that 733 million people face hunger, with 1 in 5 people in Africa. On the other hand, we also know that 2.8 billion people can't afford a healthy diet. And unhealthy diets are a common cause of all forms of malnutrition, including micronutrient deficiencies, child undernutrition and overweight, and adult obesity. Healthy diets are those that are adequate to meet nutrient needs, balanced, diverse in terms of food, and moderate in the consumption of food that are associated with detrimental health effects. Most of the food we eat needs to be cooked in a safe environment. The critical question, therefore, is how can people achieve healthy diets if they lack reliable and cost-effective way to cook, store, and process food? When cooking fuel is scarce, not readily available, or too expensive, it can have a considerable impact on how we prepare and consume food. For example, undercooking meals can increase the risk of foodborne illnesses. Skipping meals or reducing the diversity of cooked food can lead to different forms of malnutrition. It's often common to switch to less nutritious food or even to ready-to-use food when there is a lack of access to efficient cooking system. And this can have an indirect impact on adult obesity and also increase the risk of non-communicable diseases. Insufficient boiling of water can result in the consumption of contaminated water and or poorly prepared food. So clean cooking is not only an energy solution, but it is a nutrition intervention. The importance of clean cooking is gaining international recognition. In the G20 summit in Brazil on the fight against hunger and poverty, clean cooking and clean energy were recognized as a policy instrument for food security and nutrition. Despite this increasing awareness, there is still a gap in the evidence and in the action. And that's really what we aim to address with our methodology. So the approach to build evidence consisted on a literature review, followed by case study and interviews, and an analysis that takes into account the evidence from the literature review as well as the applied case study. So there is a growing scientific evidence on the nexus between clean cooking and nutrition. One of the most critical link, which is also one of the most well-known link, is the exposure to indoor air pollution, which has been often linked to health outcomes. However, there is growing evidence that it is also linked to several forms of malnutrition, including obesity, child undernutrition, and anemia. Other links between clean cooking and nutrition are through savings in terms of income and time. For example, increased cooking efficiency can lead to improved dietary diversity, which is, as I mentioned, one of the principal component of a healthy diet, which is closely linked to improved nutrition, as well as increased cooking efficiency can result in more frequent meals, which is very important, for example, when talking about the nutrition of children, especially young children. There are two key points that I want to highlight from the case study, which were collected following a call for case studies during the 2024 Bioenergy Week. In terms of key points, first of all, you see that in the second column of the table, that there is no one size fits all in terms of solution. So the clean cooking system are really different depending on the country, which shows that it's important that the cooking system is well adjusted to the context. The second point I want to highlight, if you are looking at the target beneficiaries, is that most of the case studies are targeted at household level, and many are also looking at household in rural settings. But there is one case study that looked at the case study of clean cooking application in school. And we are really hoping that there will be more case studies also looking at the institutional setting. Why is the institutional setting and especially school meals important? We know that school meals are fundamental, and they have been identified as a powerful social protection instrument, both for improved food security, but also improved education retention. They are a powerful instrument to prevent hunger and poverty. By using clean cooking technologies in school setting, we can ensure that the meals are prepared in a more safe manner, and that there are also efficiency in the way they are cooked. And this is very important when it comes to the frequency of the meals and the diversity of the meals. And by working in the institutional setting, you can also ensure to reach more children. In terms of the case studies, we have also seen that there are fundamental features that can improve the effect. One is the existence of coherent funding. The other one is the existence of policy support, so regulatory framework that enhance the regulation around clean energy and clean cooking. And an important aspect is the community engagement, both to ensure that the solutions are tailored to the needs, but also to increase the sustainability in terms of the uptake of the clean cooking solutions. Also, the case study have reinforced some of the findings from the evidence. So clean cooking solutions can enable the preparation of a wider variety of foods, which we have seen it's important to ensure a diversity in the diet. They can also improve the behavior, cooking behavior. So the inclusion of harder to prepare foods like beans or pulses. They can support off-grid areas with solutions that also foster the local economy. And they can also enhance water and sanitation through the link with boiling water. And cooking meals is very important to improve the food digestibility, which is an important feature when it comes to cooking meals for nutritionally vulnerable individuals, especially children. So leading to important improvement also in terms of nutrition outcomes. Despite this emerging evidence, there are still challenges and gaps that we hope that this kind of collaboration that we have started with GBEP can fulfill. So there is still a lack of robust data, especially in projects. So we found that there are very few projects that measure the effect of clean cooking on access to improved diet and nutrition. We still see a siloed approach also in the nutrition community when it comes to the inclusion of clean cooking solutions, and vice versa in the, let's say, the clean energy. There is the clean energy community, more can be done to include food security and nutrition consideration. And we have also seen how much it takes to really reinforce the community engagement. So to really look at the aspect of behavior science to improve the uptake of clean cooking solution. So some recommendation that emerge from both the evidence from the literature review as well as the review of the case study and the interview relates to these 4 points. One is the importance to tailor the solution to the local needs, which brings back the importance of community engagement. To prioritize institution, so really see what kind of solutions can be proposed in a school setting, for example, to maximize impact, and the need to enhance synergy, cross-sectoral collaboration like this one in the face of also reducing finance for development, and the importance to disseminate best practice to enhance the impact and really to show that solutions are available and can be replicated and adapted to different contexts. And with this, I conclude, and I thank you very much for the attention. And if you have questions, I will be happy to respond. And I'm here also with Linda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrizia, for your very insightful presentation. For the Q&A session, we shall wait up to the end of Sylvain's presentation. Sylvain, I have the pleasure now to introduce you to our audience, and you are the Director of Business Development and Sales at Biomasters. Biomasters is a pellet cooking company established in Rwanda in 2020, with the headquarters in Kigali and a subsidiary UK since 2022. Biomaster produce pellet fuel in Rwanda from biomass waste material and supply tire for gasification pellet stoves as well. But today, Sylvain will not tell us about microgasification for household cooking, but he will offer us a real-world case study on the use of pellet burner for institutional cooking to showcase how small-scale biomass system can increase modern energy access, improve human health and nutrition, and support environmental sustainability. So, Sylvain, the floor is yours. I can already see your presentation. So over to you.
Great. Thank you, Tiziana. And thank you, Patricia, for the great presentation. I will immediately jump into it. As the slide of Biomasters, you have covered it very well, Tiziana. So thank you for that. Now let's turn into our attention to the school pilot project. This initiative has been central to our mission, and I'd like to share more about it. As Patricia mentioned, why is it important? Why is it important the school institution to be looked at for their massive impact they can have on the sustainability and climate change? So schools in Rwanda in general represent, especially from primary to secondary school, represent a third of the population in Rwanda. This is close to 4 to 4.5 million of students. We have around 4,000 schools, up to between 4,000 and 5,000 schools, with an average of 1,000 students per school. So this is really huge. And almost 98% of the schools, they all use firewood, and some small school, they can go to the charcoal. But the majority use firewood. So this is an important part to look at. So quickly going over the pilot project, in September and October 2024, Biomaster with WBA conducted the 4-week pilot at EPA. It's one of the schools in Kigali. So replacing firewood with wood pellets. Our objective was to integrate a pellet burner into existing Movero stores without altering them to keep the costs low at the minimum as possible. We focused on comparing the fuel use, the indoor pollution, and costs between the baseline and retrofit scenario. And this really gave us amazing results. The final outcomes were what we saw was a significant decrease in firewood consumption, the smokeless kitchen, so the transition from firewood to pellets led to a much cleaner cooking environment. We managed to keep the costs at the minimum level, and these changes were really minimum to ensure that the investment is as low as possible. And the new setup made the cooking easier and more efficient, especially for the cook. When we look at the reduced wood use, we achieved an impressive 83% reduction in firewood demand. And with a more efficient drying system for pellets, for pellet production, we could increase up to 92%. What is great is that our pellets are made from waste wood, not traditional firewood. And this allows a more consistent and controlled fuel use. And with these results, it's really underscored the efficiency and sustainability of using pellets. If you look at the table on the right, we have compared the pellets used and also the firewood used in a different pots or per meal. The next point is smokeless kitchen. Switching to pellet has drastically reduced smoke in the kitchen. The pellet burner showed excellent conversion, resulting in no visible smoke from the chimney. Particulate matter level dropped by a factor of 100 per 100 meter per 100, and this meets the WHO target. The PM 2.5 we are referring here are the tiny particles that can harm, that are very harmful for the respiratory health. So this reduction is really significant. If you look at the table on the right, the green represents the pellet and the orange part is the firewood. And the line above is for the standard. And throughout the pilot phase, I guess up to today, is that we reduced drastically the PM matters by a factor of 100. So this is very significant. And additionally, the emission of carbon monoxide and also NOx were well within the EU regulation limits. And this transition really highlights the benefits of using air quality. And this is from the chef themselves. When you look at the kitchen where they used to operate before, one side with the burner and the other side where they were using firewood, one side is completely black and the other side is still, you could still see the concrete still brand new. So this was an important step. The conversion to pellets is cost effective, I would say, with pellet burner priced at €3,000, this significantly lower than the conversion costs if today the schools were thinking about converting from firewood to maybe LPG or electric. This investment is really, really low. And one key advantage is that there's no need to change the existing cook stove. So what we did, we simply retrofitted the pellet burner to change the energy source. And yeah, so that's what we did. We just modified a bit the cook stove with some installation, and we retrofitted and added our burner to the existing Movero. And yeah, to have really, because the cost 3,000, I still believe that it could be reviewed, maybe even reduced if we are ordering in a large quantity. So we still have to run more tests and to have more cost comparison. So this will lead us to a larger pilot across other multiple schools. Excuse me. So in our initial pilot, we found that the daily fuel costs for pellets were quite comparable to firewood. However, we anticipate that using pellets will significantly be cheaper than definitely gas or LPG, electric, and firewood. What we saw in the initial stage is that using pellets remains a cheaper solution, and this it can allow the school to definitely save a lot of a lot of money or a lot of resources. One key part which I want to mention here is that with our burner, you can regulate the heat, you can regulate the entire cooking period. So before they cook, they used to always burn food. When they are cooking, at least a tenth or almost a fifth of the food will be thrown away because they couldn't regulate the heat. So it was a known exercise that they have to throw away food. So this is part of the hidden advantage or hidden benefit of turning to pellets. So with the pellets, as they can regulate, it's completely gone. They don't throw away food, and this have been a life-changing experience for the school itself, but also the cook. Looking at other most important factor here is that it's increased the convenience. Before, they used to have maybe 5 to 7 people chopping woods for 3 to 4 hours before cooking, and this cost a lot of energy, a lot of stuff, and of course money. But today, as you could see from this picture, only one man can fill in the pellet in the feeder. And this exercise, they have to do it once, or they do it, and this is a school for 1,100 students. They can add the pellets in the feeder once every week, so once per week. So it's more convenient for the cook. One of the standout benefits that there's no more issue again. Firewood during the rain. From the picture on the Patricia slide is that all the woods are mostly kept outside, and when it's rainy season, so the wood are wet. And so with our improved combustion technology, the pellet burner allows the precise power control, ensuring that there's a reliable and consistent heat supply. Again, plus no more firewood cutting is needed, just a refill is needed. And yeah, another important point is that they used to throw away food. I already mentioned this, but it's no longer needed because they have a control panel which they can easily regulate, and we try to as much as possible to make it user friendly. As you could see from the picture on the right, it just the more heat you increase means the more flame, the more heat. So to ensure that everyone could easily understand this. I would like to highlight also other benefits. Another great advantages of the pellet burner is flexibility. If they fail, school can easily switch back to the firewood by just removing the burner and put the firewood. So this is so that whatever can happen, the school will not cook for the entire day, but just removing the burner, pull the burner out, and you can put in back the firewood. Like biogas system, the pellet setup doesn't require constant maintenance, which is a huge plus. Plus, pellets are delivered on demand and can be stored for a month in a dry space, needing less space. And this, want to highlight something. If you look at the amount of wood, where we saw the picture from Patricia deck, and comparing the same wood might be used for maybe 2-3 days. And if you compare with the space where you can store the pallets, it's really a fraction of comparing to the wood. So this is also another important point. And what we should not forget is also safety for our students, for our kids, and we are still in the developing countries, so we still a lot of things to develop. And with the LPG, I honestly think there's a lot of risk related to it, especially explosion. You can imagine an LPG which can cook for 1,400 students. It's not 2-3 kegs, but it might be a tank. So it also there's some risk. There's some risk to it. And here we have from the WBA, but also the Biomasters, we have an acronym for what we are proposing as a solution. So we have come up with an acronym CARD, which stands for clean. Our pallets are clean. Our solution is clean. They are affordable comparing to any available solution on the market. We are the lowest. They are renewable. It's from the wood residue, energy crops, etc. It's domestic, so we are not. We don't need dollars. We don't need to import LPG to be able to produce pellets. So it's all from what we have here, and this can allow us to control the prices, because prices of LPG changes every single day depending on the inflations and so on. So we came up with this acronym, and with all the audience, if you like it, you can also use it. It just CARD, clean, affordable, renewable, and domestic. So now, what's next for us? We have successfully implemented the pilots, which has brought us to this workshop, and which we had a workshop. Sorry, we had a workshop last week, Tuesday exactly, and also this webinar. So we are already somewhere. And currently we're in the MOU phase with the Ministry of Education, and our aim is to scale up to 10 more schools within this year. And we have phased out the plan of the coming years, the coming 3 years on where we'll close. And if all goes well, we should be closing 2027 with around 2028 with around 500 schools. And finally, we'll close our year with an evaluation of our performance, along with drafting financial model and scalability. So in a nutshell, that's all what we've done in the school cooking pilots. And again, as I mentioned, we need more pilots, and we'll continue to do more pilots within this quarter two, quarter three, to be more the scaling up of the pilots. And we look forward to have better results and even learn more from the pilot. So I thank you all for your attention. And if you want to reach out to me or to us, please feel free to screenshot this this slide. Thank you. Back to you, Tiziani.
Thank you very much, Sylvain, for all the information you gave us on this very interesting pilot you conducted in Rwanda. We already have many questions in the Q&A box, and without further delay, I will go through them. I will just pick some of them, and maybe if you will not be able to answer all the questions, we can answer them later on via email. But let me go first to Patrizia. Patrizia, first of all, I want to share with you some message we got from our audience and from our friends, Sosa Posiso from Kenya. Sola is saying, thank you, Patrizia. We need to raise more awareness that there is no food security and food safety, I will add, without energy security, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. And another question, for you is, how would you measure, how would you suggest to monitor clean cooking projects for their nutritional outcomes? What kind of practical metrics indicator could be used? And how can we embed these in a clean cooking program?
Thank you so much, Tiziana. And yeah, I fully agree that without clean energy, there is no food security and no food safety. And I would really add that, I mean, food security is really about the possibility to eat not only sufficient food, but also really looking at the quality of the food. And here I come to metrics that could be used to measure the nutrition outcomes. And B would be looking more at outcomes in terms of the dietary quality, because that's the, let's say, the closest impact that you can measure for a clean cooking project. So in terms of the dietary outcomes, you could be looking at the diversity of the food that is cooked. And I mean, I was very impressed by the slide that shows the cooking time that you experience with different ways of preparing the meal for the school. Because one important aspect is to show how much it reduces the time to cook a meal that includes a staple food like rice or maize with pulses like bean, because in that way you have already increased the diversity from just one type of food group to include more diversity of food groups. The other one is this how much time you can save with cooking and how you can use that time that has been saved for other important tasks. And this is very important at the household level, and especially is a measurement that is already used for women empowerment, but it's also very much linked with positive nutrition outcomes. And the last one is on the actual income saving and how much that one is then used to cover for other costs, especially when it comes to affordability of food. So these are metrics that in a way are acting as a bridge between a clean cooking solution and the nutrition outcome. Because obviously nutrition outcome like measuring anthropometry, like stunting or wasting, these are really depending on many other factors that would be difficult to be measured in a program setting. And that's why they are measured much more in a research setting.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, we should go more deeply into these indicators and to define these monitoring indicators and factors. And but it's a very interesting topic. My next question is to Sylvain. Sylvain, you said that you are using pellet for feeding the burner. Is it possible to use also wood chip? And another question is, you say that pellet is produced from waste. Is this waste safe or include some pollutants?
Yeah, thank you, Tiziana. So for this burner which we're using here, honestly, I'm not sure if we could use wood chips, but I know that it could be modified to use wood chips. But for this one, I think it's more designed for pellets. But if you can accommodate pellets, then wood chips can also be used.
Mm.
Yeah, but for that, I can get back to you with the proper response. Now, for the second question, you said you asked about if it's polluted, if our pellets are polluted. So our pellets are mainly we only get them from the remaining of woods from the different sawmills. So we have sawdust and also wood chips and different, let's say, branch and leftovers from the furnitures manufacturers, and that's what we use. And then we hammer mill them, and we dry them, and we produce pellets. So there's no, it's not polluted.
Okay, thank you. And
Yeah.
about the technology, it is produced at a local level?
No, the technology we are using for the burner, yeah, the burner was purchased from Poland, so it's not locally made.
And there is any possibility, you think, to produce the burner at local level in the future?
This type of burner, I don't think it's very easy to produce because there's a lot of moving parts. But also we are looking into other solutions which we have seen around, especially from Vietnam, which are we don't have more moving parts and might even be cheaper. But we are still looking into that. So from what we saw is that it's possible to have a locally produced burner. It might not be the same as the one we have, but there's something which can be almost similar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And there are many questions for you. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to go through all of them. You say that the cost for pellet are similar to the one for wood. But in calculating the final cost for the cooking system, did you take into account also the cost for the technology, so the capital cost for the burner? Can you explain the calculation?
So we did not take into consideration the cost of the burner itself, but we took let me say we took the baseline from the wood used in the span of almost 4 weeks, and also the costs related to that, the wood used in the span of that period, but also on the other hand, the pallets used in the span of that period. So we use the baseline calculation.
Clear.
Yeah.
And another question is asking if you are looking into carbon financing for the technology, maybe for increasing the affordability of the technology. And if this is the case, what type of monitoring, measurement, reporting, and verification system could you use?
Yeah, so we would definitely like to look into the carbon financing. However, it's still a bit tricky. We are still having a different conversation here and there, so it's not clear yet. And again, it's I think it's one of the kinds of type of pilots which we just run. So either the credit carbon market, but also as we don't have a clear way of how to approach this. But also on the other hand, on the government part, they should also they'll definitely look into how it could be financed through carbon credits, or kind of reduce the cost, or being an extra income to the school from the carbon credits. But from the existing methodology, if it works, and how we are doing right now, is that we calculate from what they've been using as of today. For example, in the household, we just look at what they've been using, we collect the information, what they use, and switching to pallets. So every sale which we are selling to the household translates into carbon credit at the end of the year. So I believe that will be the same methodology, but so far we are still trying to figure out how to move on with this. So it will be part of the financing draft, which we'll be working on at the end of this year.
Yeah. Clear. The carbon financing maybe could also be considered for the pellet production, no, I guess. And about pellet production, there is a question. What what source of energy are you using for producing pellet? Is it electricity from the national grid, or you have enough grid power to run the pelletizer? And also, what is your production capacity? How many how many burner will you be able to feed around the pelletizer?
Okay. But can you repeat the last part, please?
In the sense, if you have a pelletizer established at local level, what is the production capacity, and how many burner do you think can be fed with this capacity? How many school can you?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So for the pellet production, we use firewood. We use firewood and some parts of electricity to be able to produce pellets. So there's also a part of firewood. It's a fraction, and that's why when we look at the wood usage, wood reduction, which we are talking about on the slide of reduce the wood usage, is that if we change the methods which we're using today in our plant, we could reach up to 92% wood reduction. So there's also a big part of wood use in our pellets, in our plants, sorry. The second question is, today we are able to deliver to 1,000 schools, assuming that a school could have up to 2 burner, for example, so we can deliver up to 2,000 burner. Yeah, and this is also that at the same time we maintain the household business. So, but also we are also looking into increasing our production capacity. So within the end of this year, but also 2026, we should be able to double or triple our capacity.
Thank you. And Alan Sherrard is asking, leaving aside you're busy with Rwanda, do you see biomasters replicating the biomass pellet to burner institutional business model in across neighboring countries?
Well, yeah, I think it's something which is very scalable. Looking at the neighboring country, yeah, it's something scalable to that level. Yeah, because especially if we are talking about the pellet burner being locally made, which will reduce the costs heavily. So once it's locally made, it will be easy to be scaled. But it's important that the policymakers also have a firm hand in it to ensure that the message is top down. And otherwise, if it's only the initiative run by the firm or like different companies, then we'll have a siloed approach and it will not be scalable. So for it to be scalable, it's important that you have policymakers supporting this initiative.
Okay, thank you very much. There is a question, Patrizia, that is addressed to you, but maybe I can also jump in because it's asking, Eunice is asking if the clean cooking is dependent more on the source of the energy or on the type of the stove used for cooking. And if you allow, Patrizia, maybe I can answer Eunice by saying, by repeating what I said at the beginning. Yeah, the clean cooking systems is defined by a combination of the type of feedstock or fuel used and the type of technology that is used. Because, for instance, if you have burn pellet which is an advanced fuel in a traditional improved cook stove, then the efficiency of use of this pellet is not the same, and the type of also pollutants that is released during the combustion is different from the one that you have if you burn, let's say, pellet in an advanced burner. So once again, it's a combination. It depends not only from the type of feedstock or from the technology, but if you have the right technology and you feed it with the crop residues, at the end you get a different efficiency and different amount of pollutants. So I hope I answer this question. And so I have another question for Sylvain. Sylvain, if you can tell us what is the cost for the pellet per kilogram, for instance, or per bag?
Yeah, so the cost per pallet is per kilo is 300 Rwandan francs.
Yeah, which is equivalent to dollars.
Give me a second. Around $0.2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so for a sack, it's we have 10 kg and 20 kg, 20 kilo sack. Yeah, and what really motivates us is that so in the pilot phase, we were giving free products, which is the month of September, October, and September, October, and up to mid-November. But from then up to date, the school have become our regular customer. Like from Jan up to date, they've consumed to 3.2 ton of pellets. So it really motivated us to see that this school have literally become the customer. So price is still a bit okay, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you, Sylvain. And let me also highlight the fact that I would encourage also attendees to go through the chat, because our participants have shared a very interesting information also in the chat. I'm looking, for instance, at a messaging inserted by James Aslip, and we're sharing a link on another webinar probably done with the World Food Program last week on clean cooking for school feeding programs in East Africa. So other presentation, other initiative are promoting the use of clean cooking in institutional framework, and I'm aware that Uganda probably is another country fostering the use of clean cooking in schools. So starting from schools and not at household level, because the impact that can be achieved through these initiatives is bigger than what can be done by introducing clean cooking only at household level, probably. So once again, what I can say, thank you very much for the presentation. And there are many questions that we will forward to Patrizia and Sylvain. Maybe you can answer via email. Let me close this webinar first of all by thanking the WBA Secretariat, and specifically Mrs. Alejandra Leon and Lizia Branco, and the GBEP Secretariat with Connie Miller and Jomari Guillermo for having organized such an informative event. And thank you once again to our speaker, Patrizia Fracassi and Sylvain Ruccia, for their their kind availability and insightful contribution. And thanks to all participants for your very interesting question and for having enriched the discussion with all of your questions. The following session of WBA webinar series will take place on 29 of April at 10 a.m. Central European time, and we'll talk about what it takes to produce and deliver sustainability certified biomass. Registration details will be available on WBA website and social channels. And regarding the next session of the Global Bioenergy Partnership webinar series, it is scheduled for Tuesday, 8 April at 10 a.m. and will focus on tailored waste to energy solution, understanding the sustainable investment opportunities of biogas. I very much hope to see you all in the next session, the next webinars. And thank you very much for your presence, for your having expressed your interest on our topic, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.